Hello, hello. My name is Ashley Molinex. I'm a final expense telesales agent. Today, I have a special guest on my channel. We're going to be talking all things leads and lead flow. So if you are an agent out there who is struggling, who has questions, I get asked 101 questions every day about my lead source. So I thought I'd bring the man of the hour himself here, Oscar Gonzalez with Scale My Social. How are you doing, Oscar?
I'm doing fantastic, Ashley. How are you doing today? It's good to be here.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm better than I deserve. It's great to have you here. I can't tell you how many people ask me so many questions about my lead flow because I share all of my information, right? So people see my
Right.
cost per acquisition and just, the numbers and the metrics that I produce every day. So this is going to be a complete Q&A. We're going to try to answer all of your questions and, we'll just take it from there. So I first want to start, Oscar, with just kind of letting everyone know a little bit about yourself, how you got in the industry, and how Scale My Social came to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been doing I come from ecom. Really, that's my background in ads and running ads. I started a business back in 2012, which was an ecom business that I started with a buddy of mine, and we grew that business selling all kinds of products, home goods, apparel, jewelry. I mean, just about any kind of product that you see online. I had some form of sales in. And so we started that business many, many years ago. And it all started with ads, right? Running ads. At the time, it was more Instagram, lots of Instagram. Then TikTok came about, Facebook using affiliates. And we grew that business in a pretty short amount of time. Within about 3 years, we went from zero, working out of like a closet sized office, to in a few years getting up to $3-4 million a year in sales. And then within a year or two after that, we had topped almost 7 million in sales. All of it through video ads, affiliates, image ads as well, but lots of video ads. And so we hit Inc. 5000 a couple times. It was just an incredible run of a business. I learned so many things, not just about obviously running ads, but just building a business from zero to get it to that number. And in 2020, I exited that business, and I kind of was trying to figure out where I was going, what I was going to do next. And another good buddy of mine who had been in insurance for many years, who had been trying to recruit me to come in, said, "Hey, why don't you come do this? I think you'd be great at it." And so I did. I started the process of becoming an agent myself, getting licensed, figuring out where I was going to go, contract, everything that we have to figure out when we first come into this business. And one of the first things that I identified when I came into the business was the lack of self lead generation, the lack of quality creatives that existed in the insurance space, particularly in life insurance. Same thing in health. These were just categories that were extremely outdated when you talk about technologies being used, how leads were being generated. And so I saw a really good opportunity, and I said, wow, I'm going to get right into this, and I'm going to just start generating my own leads. So that's what I did. I came into the business, and initially I started in health insurance and ACA. That's really where I grew my book. And within a short amount of time, I realized, like a lot of people do, that I maybe miscalculated this, and I realized that to really build an ACA agency, you need lots of capital, right? Because of the model, the structure, the way it works, you're only collecting a little bit of money each and every month, so you need lots of those to really make a good living. And so when I identified that, I started looking at alternative products, and that's when I found final expense, life insurance. And I thought, wow, what a great opportunity to be able to sell something that has a big payout because of the advancement, and that would allow me to have the cash flow I need to not just grow final expense, but ACA, which was, again, how I came in. And in the beginning, I bought leads, right? I tested leads. I wanted
Okay.
to see what was out there. I needed to understand, because I came from selling a product, right? Which is very different from generating a lead. in that with a product, it's a one-time thing, right? The person sees it, it gets their attention, they click on it, they pay now, they check
Right.
out,
Check
and
out.
it's
Yeah.
done, right? There's nothing else that needs to be done. The
No
person has
human
bought.
needed.
Right, exactly. With leads, it's very different, and with insurance, it's very different. So I really needed to understand the process. I really needed to understand what was going on out there, what was working, and what wasn't, for me to kind of come up with my own way. And I did that. And quickly, right after buying a first batch of leads, I understood, okay, this isn't as tough as it seems. I can apply all my experience to this. So I did that, started running my own ads. I immediately started running videos, right from the beginning. I knew that videos was something that was really lacking in creatives within insurance. And that's what I did. And from there, I quickly ramped up, right? I went from doing 0 to 15, 20 a month in AP to 40 to 50,000 a month in AP, all on my own, generating leads, doing the whole process. And like many of us, got to a point where I was like, wow, I know everything about insurance. I'm going to, build this massive team of agents. And I started doing that and came across the challenges and all the things that happen just in business, right? And
Yeah.
so I did that. What happened really was kind of opportunity knocks, right? And that's something that I've always been pretty good at identifying, like where is there
Right.
good opportunity.
Mhm.
And I started getting a lot of agents that were reaching out to me. And they were reaching out because I've always been big on like content creating, putting myself out there. And so agents started seeing me, and people would reach out and say, hey, how are you generating leads? At the time, TikTok, right? I actually 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when I started, I was running TikTok ads for
Okay.
final expense, and it was crushing, right? There was nobody doing it. It was before the China ban talks, right? So the elderly people were still on TikTok. They were, looking at recipes and stuff like that. And so I did really well. And from that, again, agents and then agency owners started saying, hey, how are you doing this? And that question kept coming up. And I identified the opportunity that lied within that, right? Which was, there was a massive need for good lead generation, for good ad creatives, for good ad management within an industry that was just, again, super outdated. CRMs, systems, just the whole thing. And then from there, this company kind of sprouted. Now I had been writing on my own pen. I had accumulated close to 1,000 heads on my ACA book. I had a handful of agents underneath me.
Wow.
And when this opportunity started, I wanted to be able to focus, right? And which is something that agents and just people in general that have never been in business, we tend to want to do like a million things, right? Versus like focusing on just one
Right.
or two things and going.
Yeah.
So I identified an opportunity. I went headfirst into it, and here we are now. It's now been basically almost 2 years
Okay.
that we've been doing lead generation, ad management, marketing services specifically for the insurance space. We don't do anything outside of insurance. So our perspective, or my perspective, in lead generation is not just as a marketer, but also as an agent and as an agency owner, which I think has brought us a lot of ability to forecast and see what's working, what's not,
1,000%. Yeah. No,
and
I got
have
you.
that hat.
That's
So
wonderful.
that's where I'm at. That's where, and
That's
here
so
we are
awesome.
today. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. It all came with lots of trials and tribulations, as most of us that have made it through that first year in
Yes.
insurance can all attest to.
Yeah.
But yeah, here we are today.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I have to say, I can tell too with the creatives that you use and the words that you use that you come from the industry.
Mm,
You're not just someone out there going, oh, this is a quick way to make money, and I'm just going to start funneling ads for people out in the space that I don't even understand. I think
right.
in the world of insurance, you kind of need to understand your audience a little bit. So let me just get clarification then for you. So really, anyone doing anything in life insurance, is that like, does that also classify mortgage protection, or is this just like healthcare? I mean, what are you specializing in? Just all of it?
We really work. So the majority of the ad management and setups that we do now are in life and health. Those are my
I can
two
help.
biggest verticals that we do within life. IULs, mortgage protection, final expense, term, within health, ACA, private health, indemnity stuff. And then Medicare, obviously, is something that we've now been heavily rolling into. My
Okay.
goal is really to cover the insurance industry as a whole, because I think from all lines of insurance, there's still a great opportunity for agents and agencies to really generate their own leads. And so that's the path. That's the goal that I'm on, is to be able to provide that for everybody in insurance. I have no goals in mind in the near term to work on anything outside of the insurance industry. And I still have agents under me. I still have an ACA book of business. So I'm heavily in the insurance
Yeah,
business, and
that's
that's what I
awesome.
focus on.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
niche down. Be good at one thing and be really, really good at it. Okay, so let me ask you this. What does it, I'm just looking at frequently asked questions. What does it take to start leads with Scale My Social? Like, what does that look like if an agent's out there going, oh, I want someone to run leads for me? What does it all start off?
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually it's pretty simple, right? We try to make it as easy as possible because we understand as an agent or agency, it's this is another thing that you're going to take on. And I think a lot of times the simplicity of just buying leads is what brings people to do that and miss the opportunity that lies within generating your own lead. So we make it super simple. We have two options that we kind of offer, right? So one is a complete like done for you setup where we provide white glove service and we're doing A to Z. If the person has never been on Facebook, we take that person, we create Facebook ad accounts, business pages, and then everything that follows, we handle all of it. We hand over basically a working system that we just have to either manage for the client, or that client says, hey, you know what? I want to manage it. I want to try it on my own. And a lot of them end up coming back, but you have the option of doing either one. And then we also just offer ad management services for people that perhaps already have ads running, have the experience, and are just looking for the assistance of like, hey, I need someone to just take this over because I need to focus on being on the phones, growing my book, growing my agency, that sort of thing. So those are the two main setups that we do. But either one, it's days to set up, super simple, super fast. Again, we have everything in systems and structures. I have a complete staff now that really handles a lot of that. So we try to get agents in and out as quickly as possible, understanding that, gosh, I need to be on the phones like yesterday when I started insurance, you know?
Yeah. So what would you say like the average time if someone came to you today and they were super green, they needed all the things set up for them, how long would it take them to be able to get some leads coming in? And then once those leads started coming in, how long does it take for them to really flow for the agent?
Yep. So on a brand new setup, if the agent doesn't have an ad account, we're doing everything from scratch, probably about 7 to 10 business days. And what takes the longest within that is creating the videos, right? Because we're producing videos, we're using real actors and actresses. We're not just slapping pictures together and running an ad. So that's what takes the longest, is the creative process. So about 7 to 10 business days is when we go live. And
Okay.
then from there, we're scaling the ads, right? So social media in general, media buying in general, is not really fit for turning it on today and then tomorrow, like turning it up by 1,000%, right? It doesn't work well. It's about scaling the ads little by little. So from the time that we go live, we probably account for another week or two, sometimes sooner, depends on the ad, depends on the campaign. But within that first week or two, we're ramped up to volume, and the agents are getting the amount of leads that they really need to get to be successful in the line of insurance that they're in.
Wonderful. Awesome. Okay, cool. And then let me ask you some stuff around CRM. So if someone's out there, I know sometimes IMOs are very particular, right? You have to use a certain
Yeah.
CRM. Other times there's flexibility in it. So what does it look like if, I mean, can you connect to anyone's CRM or do you recommend certain CRMs? Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I never wanted to be in the CRM business. I have no loyalty to any one. I do have partners within the CRM space, and so we do recommend certain CRMs because we've built a partnership, we've integrated our system, our workflows, our funnels, all that stuff, and so it makes it easier for us to set up.
Okay.
But we can tie into any CRM that an agent is using, whether that's HubSpot, high level, a white label version. We
Okay.
can tap in and use any of them. Now, there'll be some restrictions, right? Some CRMs allow, like what you said, if an IMO has a particular CRM,
Okay.
they might not allow a certain workflow to be implemented, things like that. But we can always work around that, and we always find a solution to make sure that that agent is getting the nurturing sequences, which is really one of the biggest parts of the CRM, obviously managing your contacts, but the addition of the engagement that the CRM can provide for me is probably the biggest piece of a CRM. So no matter which one you're using, we can always find a suitable workflow that's going to work within that CRM for that agent.
Okay. So if there are, just to clarify on that too, if there is agents out there who are super green, again, they don't have anything, if they needed access to a CRM with some good workflows, you have a way to provide that for them
Oh
to
yeah, yeah,
add to. Okay.
we basically, I'll give them two or three options, right? Because again, I want to say, hey, here are two or three partners that we work with that
Okay.
we have all of our stuff implemented in there. Any one of these is going to work perfectly for any agent. And then the agent goes and looks at them, and the one that they pick, the one that they feel is best suited for them, we'll just go in and work it and set it up for them. But yeah, we
Yeah,
provide that
that's
for them.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super awesome. So helpful, extremely helpful. And then let's see. So, okay, let's talk about ad spend.
Mm.
Because I know you see a lot of ad accounts and you kind of understand a flow. What do you recommend agents who are coming into the industry or they're in the industry and they're wanting to start their own ads account? What does that look like for them financially?
Yeah, this is a very important piece. I think not just lead generation, but just coming into the business, having the right amount of capital to start the business is crucial, right? And this is for, agents that are out there listening to this. If you're brand new or just people that are watching this going, hey, I want to go into the insurance business,
Mhm.
like in any business, having the right amount of capital is so key. And so two things there. Number one, you want to have enough capital to run ads or buy leads for at least 30 days, right? At least,
Yeah.
maybe even 60, right? Because it's going to take the pressure off of you that your money is running out and you quickly need to like make sales and do all these things, right? So you you really need to give yourself a little bit of runway to launch the business. And so 30 to 60 days is ideal. Um, Anything longer than that is just going to help you create that cushion. So
Mhm.
that's super important, calculating that and having that money set aside. And then when you talk about like, how much do I need to actually start an ad? We typically will start ads around $50 to $70 per day, which is around $300 to $350 a week.
Mhm.
And what we're looking for is we don't want to go so heavy in the beginning because, again, we're buying media, right? So we need to make tweaks. We need to make sure that things in the campaign are working. And the things that we look for specifically so that agents can understand is if the ad starts today, well, I'm not going to be able to have sales within that first 2 or 3 days, right? Sometimes an agent will pull a sale out, but in reality, we need to look at different metrics, right? We need to look at the data, which are impressions, right? How many times is the ad being shown to somebody on social media or on their feed? Reach, right? How many people are we reaching within our audience, which ties to how many states are they licensed in and that kind of thing. And then super, super important, click through rates, right? At what rate do people actually click on the ad to learn more about it? And that
Mhm.
is probably one of the bigger metrics in the beginning of a campaign that lets us know, hey, we're at a good click through rate. We're getting good reach. We have a good amount of impressions. This is a working campaign. Let's scale. And then we start scaling those campaigns at a clip of 15 to 20% at a time.
Okay.
And we might be doing that every 2 or 3 days. It just depends on that campaign and where it is, and then obviously the budget of the agent. The ultimate goal is, if you're a full-time agent, if we're talking about final expense specifically, we want to get that agent to 100 plus leads a week as quickly as possible, right? And
Mhm.
you better than anyone know, like, this is just a volume business, and you need volume to be able to produce sales and have a working pipeline
Yeah.
and not stress.
Yeah.
If you don't have enough leads, you're just gonna like tread water, right?
Yep.
And like some weeks will be okay, but then some weeks will be terrible, and it's hard to find consistency because you're not working the law of averages, right? Which is what this is all about.
Yep. No, 1,000%. So one thing you brought up there were states. Let me ask you this. How many states do you recommend agents have when they run ads, and how does that affect the cost for them?
Yes, that's a very important piece, that if you talk to 5 different marketers, you might get 5 different answers, right?
And then that's
And that's literally what will happen. And the simplest way that I can explain states and how many states you would need, you think about when you run an ad, you want more people to show that ad to that fit your criteria. Because the more people you have to show that ad to, the lower the cost to generate that lead, right? Because on Facebook or on any social media platform, we're not buying leads. We're buying media time, right? We're paying that platform X amount of dollars per day for them to show our ad to people that fit our parameters. If you don't have enough people, it's going to be harder for that platform, let's say Facebook, to find those people that are most likely to convert into leads. So I typically, if you're doing telesales, I like to ideally see agents on no less than 8 to 10 states.
okay.
And as that agent grows and they start building their pipeline and they start seeing things work, you need to invest into those states, because it's truly an investment, right? The more states you keep adding, the lower you're going to see those costs come in. And so you're either paying it up front and not having the states, you're going to pay a higher amount on the lead, or
Mhm.
you're going to invest into the states and you're going to pay a lower amount on the lead, right? So my thought is always like, well, I would rather make the investment. If I have the capital, I'd rather make the investment right now
Right.
versus like paying a higher amount over and over and over and over every single day, which again adds up. So
Yeah.
8 to 10 states, the best performing ads are probably in the 20 plus state range. That's probably where we see not just like pricing at its lowest, but consistency, which is something that is tough to get in social media lead generation, because it fluctuates every day, right? It's
Yeah.
who's on the feed, who's looking at it, what time of the day. And so to find consistency, the more people you have, the more consistent the campaign can deliver.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And just full transparency for all the agents out there, I have 20 plus states. I think I'm at like 24, and exactly what Oscar is saying. My ad costs stay low, very consecutive. There are no hiccups. I don't get spikes. I mean, it is a level ad set that I have going on, and it's probably because of the states that I have running. And
Well,
then, oh, go ahead.
and I'll just add to that, like, we just actually made a change to your campaigns in the last like 48 hours, right? We
Yeah, we
made
did.
what is a pretty significant edit, right? We were making change, we're trying to get better, we're trying to improve.
Yep.
And you saw that we made that major change and it just went right back to production. I mean, if you look
It
at I
did.
looked at it this morning, like your campaign is back to just doing what it was doing before the change. And now hopefully we start seeing some of those improvements that we were looking for, which in your case were some more pre-booked appointments is what we were looking for there. And I think we saw a few yesterday. I
Yes.
think a few pre-booked appointments
Yep, I
started coming
had,
in more.
yep, had one come in. It was phenomenal. And yes, it didn't, because you gave me the heads up. You're like, hey, heads up, we could get a reduction. But I think it was like one day I had just like 7 leads come in, and then whoop, right back.
Right,
It's like didn't
right
skip a
back.
beat.
Yeah.
So It's beautiful. Okay, so let's dive into TCPA and all that stuff. I know that there's a lot of
Mm,
noise out there with compliance and what you're supposed to show on an ad and who can have the ad. So maybe talk about that per individual agent, or if maybe someone, because you take agencies on too, right? If someone has a team,
yeah.
right? Okay,
Oh
so
yeah.
kind of enlighten everyone about what that looks like and how you keep them compliant.
Yeah, this is super important, right? If you're an agent and you don't know about TCPA and the new laws that were already approved and go into effect January 1, 2025, this is a major shift in how leads are being generated and how the lead can be sold to different parties or different people. So the TCPA new law states that when somebody gives a consent, right, to call them and they're interested in your product or service, starting January 1st, that consent can only be given to one person or one company,
Mm,
right? Up until then, or up until January 1, a lead vendor can get a lead from someone, and in that lead, have a consent that says, hey, you're consenting to not just us calling you, but all of our affiliates and all the distributors and all the companies that will resell this information to. So, what's happening up until now is that lead vendor can generate one lead and sell it to 5, 10, 15 different agents or agencies, and everybody's bombarding that one person with those calls. That does a couple of things that are very negative for us in the business. One, people pick up the phone less and less because they give their information to what they think is one company, but they're going to get bombarded from calls from 5, 10, 15 companies. So that is hurting contact rates. So that's one part of it. The other part of it is that now, again, moving in January, if you do not follow that consent, right? And for example, you continue buying leads that are shared or age data that's been sold to different agents, you are violating TCPA compliance. What does that actually mean? Well, it's not that you're going to jail, right? You're not going to go to jail, but what is going to happen is you could either get sued, right? Right? From whoever you called that you shouldn't have called. And the biggest thing, Ashley, is not that you'll actually go to court and have to, go through that whole process. It's not that. It's that you're going to get strong armed for $3,000 to $5,000 to settle it out of court, right? That's all that these litigators that are out there looking for TCPA violations. And litigators actually go and they'll have a team of people that are out there filling out forms all day, every day. And when they fill out a form and they see that the consent is not correct, they immediately will file, send you a letter, cease and desist. And again, they're not trying to take you to court. They're trying to muscle you for $3,000 to $5,000 or take it to court, which could cost you a lot more.
mm.
Right. So it's so important, especially going into January 1, guys. If you're going to buy leads, make sure that they are compliant and that they have what are called a trusted form or a Jornaya ID, which are third party certificates that validate that that lead was only created and will give you consent directly. If the lead doesn't have that, guys, I would steer clear of it. And the alternative is lead generation, right? Run your own ads, let a company like ours generate those leads for you, because what we do is in every single campaign that we run, that agent or agency is named in the consent and it's clear one to one. We're following all the TCPA guidelines. You'll never have to worry about any of that stuff, which is a huge part. Some of us have never been sued. I've been sued several times, and I know, like, it's not fun. It's not fun being sued, going through the process, and then ultimately like just having to pay money.
Yeah.
That's what happened. So
Yeah, no
yeah,
one wants
very
to do
important.
that. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the explanation on that. And then let me see. Yeah, so let me ask you this. Are there, and this is just perspective for agents, right? So they come in, they get their ads set up, they're TCPA compliant, they start getting leads coming in. Are they going to have leads that will call them and say, oh, I never filled out the form? Or are they going to get bad numbers, disconnected numbers? Like, are you able to filter those things, Oscar?
Yeah, so this is a common question, and I actually have a lot of content in my socials about this, right? Because this is something that especially new agents will always ask about, right? Well, this person, I just called them and they said that they didn't fill this out. Well, what are you doing? And they immediately go to like something is wrong, right? And I think it's really important for agents to understand a prospect, where they come from, so that you can understand why somebody says that to you, right? And so the biggest thing is on social media, nobody is looking for final expense, right? A 60-year-old person doesn't go on Facebook because they want to buy final expense. They go on Facebook because they want to disconnect and they want to see their feed and they want to disconnect from their life, right? And
Yeah.
so they're not looking for insurance. Now, what we do, right, is we create ads that try to capture that person's attention, right? Get them to stop scrolling on their feed and look at this video that applies to them, right? If they're over the age of 50, do they have something set up to protect their family? What happens if you die tomorrow and they're left hanging with all these bills? So we try to capture that person's attention, quickly go into the pain points of not having a burial insurance set up, and then provide them with solutions. No medical exams, up to 50,000 in coverage, all the things that final expense provide. And we condense that into a video. Now, people see that, they watch it and they go, wow, yeah, that's me. Sounds great. I want to get more information.
Mhm.
They click on it, they answer a few questions, and within probably a minute, maybe a minute and a half, they're done completing your form, submitting, and then they're gone, right? Now they scroll and they're back on their feed, right? Watching whatever videos are on their feed. And guys, within a few minutes, they forget what they did. They forget that they filled out a form. They forget that they booked an appointment with you 2 days out. They maybe didn't have a lot of intent, but it piqued their interest. So they filled it out. And now here comes a phone call. So yeah, you're going to get people that are going to say, I didn't fill it out. You're going to get people that hang up on you. You're going to get people that don't pick up. That is sales in general, right? There is no sales industry. There is no one out there that is generating leads and generate 10 leads, talk to 10 people. That doesn't exist. We would all literally be millionaires, right? We literally, nobody would have any issues. I
Well, we
wouldn't have a
wouldn't need to
business.
get paid that well at the end of the day. I mean, if it were that easy, they wouldn't pay us so well, because everyone would
That's
do it.
right.
Yeah, it would be like
That's correct.
McDonald's, right? Everyone, yeah.
That's
So,
correct. Yeah. And really what happens is like you're wholesaling the lead. That's the big thing to keep in mind, right? If you go and buy leads from a lead vendor, you're paying a premium to be able to go back to that vendor and say, "Hey, this number's disconnected, replace it. Hey, this person said this, replace it," right? But you're paying a high premium for that. And you're also paying the margin, right? The profit that that lead vendor has to make. When you generate your own leads, you are the wholesaler. You're
yeah.
making those leads from scratch. And in doing so, you're going to get everything that comes in: disconnects, wrong numbers, I didn't fill it out, all those things, which is where we go back to what we said a little while ago, which is volume is key,
Mhm.
right? Volume is so important because, like, the way we see it is for every about 100 leads that come in, the agent should be able to close 5 to 10%, right? Somewhere in that realm is where that agent should lie. And if they are not, then they need training, they need support. We need to look at the process that they're using when they get on the phone with someone. But if you're closing, again, a good agent, 5 to 10% of leads, that means that for every 100 leads, 90 to 95 people are not clients, are not customers, right? And that
Yeah.
those are people that numbers were disconnected, don't ever call me again, I never filled it out. So the agent has an option, right? You either The option is you understand lead generation and how to work leads, right? And you focus on those people that say, "No, I didn't fill this out." Or you take a different approach to it, which is, okay, 100 leads are going to be generated. I need to get through 90 something people to find my clients, right? To find the people that
Yeah.
need my help. And that's been my approach in sales always, when I dial and when I get on. If I get a person that says, I didn't fill this out, perfect, great, I'll talk to you later. Click. And that's one person that I've now taken off my list. And I'm closer to getting to my 5 to 10 people
Yeah.
that do need my help, right?
Yep.
And so it's really a mindset thing. And I find that the agents that focus so much on that, on the other side of it, like disconnects and numbers, they will just beat themselves up and they'll go from thing to thing, trying different methods and different campaigns and different leads, looking for this perfect lead that's going to pick up every time, that's going to say yes every time. And that just doesn't
Yeah.
exist. They end up failing out of the business because they were looking for they're looking for like a unicorn, right? It doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
So it's very, very important to have the right mindset when you're working leads.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for highlighting that, because I actually did. An agent reached out to me yesterday and was saying that exact same thing. And that's why I think it's important to highlight. They're saying, oh, well, I have my ads running. I'm in so many, I think it was in 2 weeks, I have, X amount of leads coming in. I'm like, okay, let's say you're an average agent, 5% close. You should, based off of this week, which they only had like 56 leads, right? That's not enough to thrive off of, right? Especially as a new agent. You need the flow. For agents out there listening, you need the flow, because you got to fall forward fast. You got to get as many people on the phone as possible. And 50 leads a week just does not cut it.
It doesn't.
It just doesn't. You cannot thrive.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even survive on 50. I would be in the red. In order to keep my business in the green, I need at least 120 to 140 a week, to give you some perspective there. And then lastly here, before we wrap up everything, talk a bit about pre-booked appointments. Is that like additional? Does that just like come with everyone's, ad sets? How does that work?
Yeah, no, we set up a funnel system, and that's been my approach always. Whether I sold products or now lead generation, it's important that you generate a lead and that there's a flow, that there's a system in place, that we're not just trying to capture the lead and that's it. So pre-booked appointments or call now campaigns are very important and are included in every setup that we do. So the person fills out your lead form, they answer the few questions, the beginning questions, they hit submit. Now you capture that lead. That lead is now in your CRM, automations will go. Now the person doesn't go back on their feed. They get a message that then kind of prompts them and motivates them to take a second step, which is to now go into a calendar page, which we create, we design, we customize, that allows that person to pre-book an appointment with you out, 24 hours, 48 hours, right? So now you've captured the lead. A percentage of those people will be able to pre-book appointments with you. And then we take them into a third step. So after they pre-book the appointment, now the person chooses a time and a date, they hit submit, we hit them one more time. Hey, thank you for submitting your appointment. By the way, can you answer a few questions below to help us better understand your current situation? And we hit them with like 8 to 10 questions, depending on the line of insurance. And final expense, we're looking for things like what's your height, what's your weight, medical conditions, what's your budget, how soon do you want coverage? All these tie down questions that if somebody answers are going to give you a lot more insight on the intent of that person. So we take them through those 2 or 3 steps, and that's included in every single setup that we do.
That's awesome. 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 Okay, Oscar. Well, do you have anything extra that you top of mind that you want all these agents to hear or know about? Do you think we kind of covered a good breadth of everything?
No, look, I think the biggest thing is like what you just said, right? Where agents have the wrong expectation and they're not prepared to properly handle the leads, how to work them. And if you're new, you have to take reps. You have to get on the phones. It is the most important and crucial thing to your success is getting your pitch out, getting your presentation down. And the only way you can do that is by having enough leads. And the only way you can have enough leads is by getting them at a decent cost so that you can get more of them and have those opportunities. So it all like just, it's a domino effect. And if the first one isn't done right, the rest is not going to fall, right? So super important. Take the reps. Know that not everybody is a sale, but what's important is that you take the reps, because the deals that you can't close today are deals that you will close in 2 weeks from now, right? And then from there, the deals that you don't close in 2 weeks are deals that you will close in a month because you improve. And when you hear that objection, you'll have an answer for it. You'll be able to know how to handle it. But these things only come from taking the reps. and staying consistent. So that's the biggest thing, guys. Stay consistent, stay on it. Don't jump from thing to thing. When you have something that works and is proven either by your upline or whoever else can reference it, stick to it. Just grind it out because you will make it.
Agreed. Agreed. Okay. So Oscar, obviously I am going to have a link in the description below for everyone to click on to get more information. But if anyone wants to reach out to you, they got specific questions, how do they find you?
Social media at Scale My Social on any social platform that is out there. That's the easiest way. Find us there, send us a message, and again, obviously, you'll have a link on this video to help us and to help them. So yeah,
Yeah.
but we're pretty accessible. I'm out there. My face
That's
is
awesome.
plastered
That's
out there.
wonderful. So on YouTube too, they just do Scale My Social and they can find you on YouTube
Yep.
because you said that you talk a lot on things. So if they want more insight, I think it's wise that they go
I'm
listen.
I'm constantly putting content, daily content on all platforms, at Scale My Social on any social media platform.
Beautiful. Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Oscar. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It's been awesome. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah. Have a good day.
Thank you.